Hi, class. Dr. Duncan here, stopping by to speak with you for a few moments as we are approaching the conclusion of the second week in the semester. Can't believe it. I wanted to stop by and go over chapters 1 and 2 with you briefly and just hit on a couple of things. So, this module that you're in, Module 1, is open until January 26th. So, you have a couple more days to get this complete. Ideally, what I like you to do, just to verbalize what's already written down, is to have your initial discussion board posted by that first week of the module, and then you have up until that second week to get your replies as well as your test. So I really want to stress the importance of making sure that you have your initial discussion board posted by that first week. And again, remember that your initial post is 300 words and your reply is 200 words. So make sure that you're adhering to those things. So, Chapter 1 in loss prevention actually introduces what is loss prevention and security. What is the difference between security and loss prevention? In this chapter, we talk about and outline some of the basic terms that you're going to use. I have the text here that I wanted to direct your attention to as I'm going over a couple things, some pages I want to highlight. Again, I want you to read the entire chapter, but just a few things that I want to highlight. In looking at the international aspect of loss prevention and security, you can see how it actually evolved from different countries, dating back to when we look at the Middle Ages of time in Europe and we go on to the Great Wall of China and looking how and why those things were important to expand the spectrum of what we're talking about. Now, this may not be all the way correct what I'm going to say, but bear with me. Security guard previously had like a RoboCop connotation associated with it. People didn't really take them serious. This is previously. But now, with everything and how we've evolved as a country and a society, that, and please share if you think that that's different. I would present the argument that is no longer the case, because now you have a lot of security guards and loss prevention personnel that are sworn personnel, that they are armed. They go through 8 to 10 weeks of training. Some programs, when you start getting into your private security, actually go through just as much training, if not more, when we start talking about private security. So previously, I think we had this negative connotation associated with, but when you actually start reading and learning about it, I would say that I think that has diminished a little. One thing that I found interesting on page 15 in your text, I think if you look at Wells Fargo and what was and the purpose and how Wells Fargo actually came about, and we still have that today, but it's now banking, a financial institution. But looking at that and when that evolved on page 15, I thought that was pretty interesting to highlight a few of those things for you in your text. At the back of your book, you don't have questions, but you have case problems. I would encourage you to just take a moment to do one or two of those. Maybe incorporate some of those thinking points when you're actually doing your discussion board post. Again, it's not a sign; you don't have to do it, but I would just encourage you to do that with that. Going into chapter 2, we start looking at different businesses and career aspects of when we're talking about loss prevention and what it is. Big difference between private security and public security. Public security, for one, where does the funding come from? Who's paying for that? The public dollars, right? Tax dollars. We're getting that from that. Private security is more like a business. It's a corporation, maybe a founder, individuals, and they have their training. And now, though, what you notice, especially with the military actually contracts with a lot of private companies to do, especially overseas. One case that you guys always look, we usually talk about Blackwater, looking into that. But so understanding the difference between private and public security and privatization. Is that a good thing or not? Is privatizing security or loss prevention, is that good? Why or why not? Some would argue yes, some would argue no. In addition, this outlines the different type of career. Some of you actually send me an email asking like, well, what can you do in loss prevention? What can I do with security? There are a plethora of jobs underneath that umbrella. Again, because we've taken loss prevention to say that loss prevention is that preventing the loss of whether it is financial, goods, different things. So that's what loss prevention is, preventing. You want to stop that loss before it happens. So it's not just saying security. Looking on page 36 under that table, those different tables, they have different types of securities that are different type of jobs and consultations that are available in that field. So make sure you take a look at that. With your discussion board, the idea or the logic behind this is I'm not trying to give you a bunch of reading, a bunch of busy work. I really want you to do a lot of mini research. And again, I encourage you, if you're not familiar, you don't know how, let me know, to use the library to do your research when it's telling you to research these different things, and bring up your talking points, your thinking points. Definitely use current events. Bring it in, tie it into the current events so we can have something to talk about. So for chapter 1, the first question, you're looking at law enforcement and private security efforts during the 19th, 20th, and 21st century. That's right there in that first chapter. You can see the evolution of that there. So thinking back about that, and now that you've read that, what factors influence public and private changes in the strategies over the years? What has changed? Do you think things should have changed? Why should they have changed? That's the type of stuff that I want you to look at and think about. Second part there from chapter 2, in the community which you live, research the limitation of public safety agencies. What are public safety agencies? And assisting private sector with crime, a fire accident, other emergency. So we actually, if I recall, somebody in this class is actually in loss prevention. So they could definitely personally attest to what are some of the limitations, what are some of the things that hinder or they feel that hinder them from doing their job fully. For example, if you're in Walmart, and your loss prevention officer, your security there, and somebody is caught stealing, does anybody know what can actually be done if you catch them stealing? At what point? Once they leave the building, once they leave that parking lot, and what are their limitations as far as what kind of physical restraints, things that they can actually use? So those are the things I want you to research and look at in this chapter. It's really just supplying you with an overview of talking about how it has changed and shifted over the centuries, and then looking at some changes are good and we have actually implemented different strategies now, but what are some things that probably need to be looked at or re-looked at? So if you think about TSA, what are some of the requirements to become TSA? Does anyone know? What do they go through? What are things that they have the right to do that they don't have the right to do? So make sure that you're looking at that. And again, when you're researching these questions, use the library. Feel free. I want you to bring in current events. You know, it's not just oh, I think this, oh, I think that. You know, bring in current events. I mean, include the links. If you have a video or a news video, a news clip or something, include the link to make this more engaging, interacting, so we can learn from one another. So if you don't have any questions for me, I think that's it I was going to say. For some of you, this is your first class with me. I will come on and do a video chat periodically, highlight some things, especially if I get a lot of the same questions. We'll talk in reference to those questions. In addition, I have a Periscope account which you can follow me on, but I won't do a lot from loss prevention on Periscope this semester. But if you want to create a Periscope and follow me, we can definitely have a chat if something's going on or maybe you see something. But I use Periscope to offer the live chat in the evening. So some of you work during the day. If you follow me periodically throughout the week, in the evenings I'll log on so you can have an opportunity to talk to me at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And that's Duncan CJC if you're on Periscope. You just download the Periscope app and you can follow me at Duncan CJC. So again, overall, everything's looking good so far. Remember, you have 2 weeks for each module. Make sure you get that initial post. Put some thought into that. You don't want to just say, oh, I think this, oh, I think that. Give us some real life scenarios. Give us some links, some videos to watch. If you have a video, by all means, post your video on your discussion board. You know, don't just post that and think that that's your post, but post a video and to provide your feedback. I'll try to provide feedback and post different videos in there. So you're always welcome to give me a call, email me if you have anything to talk about. For those of you who haven't had me in an online class, for my video chats, I do not go back and edit them. So while I'm recording, someone may walk in, and phone may ring, I may stumble over a word, I may, I don't go back and edit because if we were in class, I can't go back and redo my class. So I try to give you that same type of feel. If there's nothing else, I log off till next time. Make sure you get module 1 complete, and I will be opening up the other modules. I want to give us an opportunity for everybody to get used to the momentum and what I'm expecting, and then the other modules will open, so you will be able to work ahead if you need to. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.